Welcome, professors, Vervoids, and quite got the name of that other alien race, to the 168th episode of an Unearthly Podcast, streaming live on the 3rd of August, 2018, and featuring Trial of a Time Lord, Terror of the Vervoids, written by Pippin Jane Baker, and starring Colin Baker, and introducing Bonnie Langford as Melanie Bush. I am Bill Sylvia, the Man in Black, and with me are Mad Matt Winchell, Randy Ronson McCulloch,
Kill me now,
Aaron Romeo Moon Burke,
s'mores Pop-Tarts,
and Tim the Enchanter Sheridan.
Save me from the wee turtles.
Tonight we dine on turtle soup.
All right. I'm going to start this with a early warning. I have been sick for most of the last week, and while I am mostly better now, I do have a bit of a lingering cough. I will try to mute my mic if I break into coughing, but I may not be fast enough. So just a little warning, I may start coughing at some point, followed by quick silence.
FYI.
Yeah, just as an FYI and an early warning. I'm trying to digitally infect Matt as we speak, but I'm not sure if it's working or not.
Try harder.
I'm just glad I'm getting this out of the way before the con, which is later than this month. Hey. Oh, I'm not nervous. Why are you asking?
And it will be the event of the century.
I'm sure by Monday the 29th.
Did we just lose him again?
Oh, yeah. Another warning. Chrome and Bill are not liking each other apparently tonight. They've been having issues. So apparently Chrome will cause something to freeze up on his system, and then Discord will freeze up on his system. And we just can't go anywhere without technical issues, can we?
He's just going to have to buy Chrome a box of chocolates and some flowers, maybe, make up the bed a little nice and cuddly, and just be like, hey, Chrome, why are we fighting?
At least we have Bill for the most part tonight, unlike last week where his internet decided,
Absolutely nothing would happen, yeah.
Especially since, for some reason, the very simple parts that I ordered so I can wire up my network instead of it being wireless are for some reason taking until the middle of the month to arrive, even though I ordered them a week ago.
On that same note, Bill, I ordered the Viewings DVDs last week. I have all of them but one, and that one was only released on Tuesday.
So you tell us why your packages are so slow.
But then again, I did say, hey, Amazon Prime, hey, look.
Yeah.
Hey, Amazon. Hey, look at
The Ethernet cable arrived, but the hooks so that I can, run them over through doorways and such have not arrived.
To be honest, even if I had to pay for Amazon Prime, which I didn't because they gave me the free trial month again.
Oh, okay.
I would have saved money. I just ordered approximately $1,600 worth of DVDs that would have been over $2,000 had I not used Amazon Prime.
Right.
So I figured even if I had to shell out $10 for 1 month of Amazon Prime, I would have been saving a shitload of money. So I am very happy that I got them and they're all here and they're all cool and everything's all green on my board except for Batman the Killing Joke, and that just was released on Tuesday, and I should probably have it at the post office tomorrow. And I will check on Friday.
The fact that that's a GeekCon and hopefully not while I'm busy in a panel or something is part of why I did not bother paying money for it.
It's actually, we might be on a panel at that point, but mind you, you're going to be there Thursday night, so I could always use that as a test showing on the viewings the night before the con.
Mm-hmm.
Like we did with Doctor Who and the Daleks last year, I think it was. No, you weren't there for that. Tim was.
Tim was,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, I was there.
Tim was the only one that we couldn't get supplemental material for him to watch it anyways, so it was good for him.
We sat down and watched it there, and we can do the same thing. We can sit down and watch The Killing Joke the night before because, hey, we're the viewing staff. We need to test. We need to test the stuff anyway. Yeah.
Yep.
Anyway, so let's start our news. We only really have one birthday of note, and that's David Warner. David Warner turned 75 on Monday, the 29th of July. If you are not familiar with David Warner, then you haven't listened to most of the Big Finish stuff, as he was the Doctor in their Doctor Who Unbound section. He is also a very prolific actor. He's one of his better-known roles was Ra's al Ghul in Batman the Animated Series. He also played 2 different roles in 2 different Star Trek movies. He was the human ambassador to Nimbus 3 in Star Trek 5, and then the Klingon Chancellor in Star Trek 6, a role I swear he took as an apology for 5. He has been in hundreds of things. I mean, I can barely even know where to start. Midsummer Night's Dream, Tom Jones, The Omen, Holocaust, Portrait and Evil, Time Bandits, Tron.
My best friend is a vampire.
You can go on and on and on and on for this. This man has been doing movies since 1962.
And very seldom if ever stopped.
He is probably one of the most better-known voices. He's basically one of the best-known voices in movies. He has that English accent. I mean, other people have close to it, but it was really, he did it first, and he did it best, in my opinion.
Yeah, he definitely made the British-sounding villain popular again in the 80s. But then he also started doing other roles, and he wasn't always just a villain either. So,
he's actually still active. I had actually thought he was retired by now, or at least semi-retired. He's still active. Yeah, this is not a posthumous. So when I said was, I was assuming he had stepped down.
No, 2 years ago we just saw him in an episode of Doctor Who.
Oh, that's right. He was in Cold War as the professor. Always thought a little bit miscast on that one, but not bad.
Mm-hmm.
Not bad. Apparently, and this shocks the heck out of me, he does a voice for The Amazing World of Gumball.
Okay.
That it's a Cartoon Network cartoon that Aaron occasionally watches, and I occasionally watch with Aaron. It's generally stupid, but has its moments of obviously where they're lampshading or in-joking pop culture somewhere that I find amusing. But the fact that they got David Warner to do a voice for it, wow. So he is still at it. His birthday was Monday. Happy birthday, David. And that takes us to episode news, which we have a bit of.
Mm-hmm. Oh, man. Look at all this episode news. All right, where to begin with? First, we've got a new season of Doctor Who coming up, and there is a rumor that Deep Roy will be playing a role in one of the newer episodes. As you may know, Deep Roy is one of the little people, shorter person. I'm not quite sure if he actually has dwarfism. I don't know very much about Deep Roy.
He's technically got dwarfism. He's like half the size of a normal person.
Okay, but he's a Kenyan actor, a stuntman, puppeteer, and comedian. He has also had roles in the remake of Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. It's actually Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. From 2005.
Where he played every Oompa Loompa, even the female ones.
Yep.
That had to be a hell of a job.
He's also played Mr. Sin in the Tom Baker serial Talons of Wayne Chiang back in 1977.
That was one of his earlier acting roles, if I recall.
Mm-hmm.
And, these days, Deep Roy's in just about everything.
Yeah.
I mean, he's kind of the same. He has the same thing that Warwick Davis did in the 80s, where you needed a small person. It was Warwick Davis. And you had that all the way through 2000 when he was cast as Flitwick in the Harry Potter movies and all of this. In more recent time, Deep Roy has really started to take that same role as being everywhere you need a short actor for. Although he has some competition now from, what's his name from Game of Thrones?
Peter Dinklage?
Dinklage, thank you.
Dinklage.
Even so, I've seen Deep Roy, in Blake 7. I've seen him. I think I've seen one of the X-Files he's been in, and of course, he's in the Star Trek movies, the reboot movies, as Scotty's little sidekick, Keenzer. Deep Roy is actually a pretty talented guy.
Yeah.
For somebody whose facial expressions don't vary that much, he's still able to put a lot of heart into his characters. He has one of those scowly faces.
When he needs it, yeah.
All right, and then coming up, we are also for not this upcoming season, but for season 11, I believe, right? Yep. Is looking like Peter Capaldi is coming back as the Doctor. Stephen Moffat has revealed that he currently believes Peter Capaldi will continue playing the Doctor beyond the end of the next season. Nothing, I don't think anything like completely confirmed here, other than the fact that he's loving the role. Let me see here.
He has to be loving the role.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know why David Tennant left, because David Tennant was as much of a Doctor Who geek as Capaldi was, and I think he said after his run that if he didn't leave now, he would be holding he'd be hanging onto the TARDIS in his 60s.
Pretty much.
Which Capaldi is in the same boat, where he's this huge Doctor Who fan. I almost said Star Trek because we were talking about Deep Roy.
Yeah.
But he's this huge Doctor Who fan. And he's gotten the dream role. He's the Doctor. He's the main character in Doctor Who. I mean, this is a role that if I was an actor, and I kind of wish I was at one point in my life, did not happen. But yeah, if I was an actor and I got cast in this role, they would have to pry it from my cold, dead hands, I would never let it go. I wouldn't care if it typecasted me for the rest of my life. I could go to my grave saying I was the Doctor.
Capaldi had also mentioned season 10 could be, here's a quote on the website, season 10 could be my final year. It's terrifying. I love Doctor Who, but it can be quite an insular world, and I do want to do other things. There will come a time when this is over, but I knew that when I started. So there's been kind of some back and forth between whether he's going to leave at the end of season 10 or at the end of season 11.
Yeah, and I can see part of that. It's part of the reason Tennant left is the fact that everybody that was attached to it was leaving. I mean, Russell T was leaving, Judy Gardner, or was it Julie Gardner? Whoever the other exec was leaving. A lot of the writing staff was being swapped around and everything. So it just seemed like a good place to leave. At the same time, that put a lot of pressure on Stephen Moffat, who not only had to take over and start writing the show pretty much from scratch, but also had to start writing a new Doctor from scratch. And we got Matt Smith, which I have no problem with the choice in actors. I really have the choice in how the character came out. I really don't want to see that kind of pressure put on Chibnall.
Mm-hmm.
I would like him to already have a pre-existing character, maybe play with that for a year or two before having to deal with swapping out doctors. That and the fact that, we really don't need to burn through another set of regenerations so quickly.
Yeah.
It's one thing if they have a new Doctor but the same companion, so there's at least something to go off of. It's one of those, at least as long as there's something familiar for the show to kind of latch onto to help ease the new producer in.
Yeah, and Moffat had to
Which
start
Moffat
from
had none of that, but I guess the idea was, Moffat's been on the team since 2009. He doesn't need any of that. Which
Moffat was on the team since 2005.
That's what I meant. That's what I meant to say. Sorry, 2005.
Yeah, he
Ninth Doctor. That's why 9 was in my head.
But it's quite a different thing to be a writer on a writing team and to be the showrunner. And Moffat, I hate to say that Moffat dropped the ball, but the fifth series was not as bad as the follow-up 6th and some parts of the 7th. It still was not the greatest era, and that was coming off the 4th series, which I believe is one of the greatest that we had seen up to that point.
Mm-hmm.
The Doctor, and the 10th Doctor and Donna.
Oh yeah.
So the 5th season the 5th series was a little bit of a letdown. And I was, basically thinking at that point, yeah, still at the same time, new showrunner, new Doctor, new everything.
It needs a little while to warm up.
Yeah, you need a shakedown cruise.
And then the next season.
And then it went downhill. And I'm hoping if Chibnall has enough stuff to run with, he can take it and keep pace on a relay.
And maybe actually make improvements.
Yes, I am really hoping for improvement. Although, in Moffat's defense, and I never thought I'd say that, Series 9 was pretty damn good.
Yeah.
It was definitely a sign of getting better, but I still worry what would happen if anything else happened to pop up and Moffat suddenly didn't have time.
I still think I like Series 4 better than Series 9.
Mm-hmm.
But I would probably put Series 9 on the next tier after 4. So it'd go 4, 9, 2, 1.
Yeah, as
3.
of now, I'm thinking that 4, 9, and 26 are my top.
Well, I'm not even putting Classic Who on this. I'm just talking New Who because it's different production values.
Okay, are we ready to move on? Yeah. Before we keep rambling on, I apparently had missed the previous article. Also reported by Cultbox, which has reported the previous 2 articles. The first episodes of Doctor Who Season 10 have finished filming. We will be seeing, of course, Pearl Mackie joining as the new companion Bill, as well as Matt Lucas returning as Nardole. And the show's Twitter account announced this morning they've wrapped up Block 1. Peter, Pearl, and Matt Lucas have finished filming episodes 1 and 2 for Doctor Who Season 10. So, episode 1 is written by Stephen Moffat and guest star Stephanie Hyam.
I'm not surprised episode 1 is written by Stephen Moffat. He usually writes the opener and the closer. And when he has time, something in the middle.
Yeah, he has said that Moffat has teased, I want it to feel like episode 1 of a brand new show. I want to leave just as it's all beginning.
Well, the best time to do that would have been back in Series 8. and instead what we got was a lot of continuity porn.
So
he keeps saying things like that because I think he said that about the Snowmen too, which led Bill to think it was a great starting off place for new people, which is why he had some Doctor Who virgins watch the Snowmen with us, and it turned out to be laden with continuity porn, and they got confused and hated it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So Moffat said that a lot.
Moffat keeps saying that a lot. He's absolutely horrible at that constantly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm not sure he
episode 2
understands what the concept actually is intended to mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Episode 2 is going to be written by Frank Cottrell Boyce, who also wrote In the Forest of the Night. Has a guest cast including Mina Anwar from Sarah Jane Adventures and Ralph Little from the Royal Family.
We still don't know if Mina Anwar is reprising her character. I believe we figured she is not.
Okay. And then, of course, both of these episodes will be directed by Lawrence Go.
Is it Go or Goff?
Goff? I don't know. Season 10 will air on BBC One in spring of 2017.
Yep. So does this mean that they're actually done filming Class now? And they're in post?
Well, these are classified as the first block
Yes.
filming.
Of Doctor Who.
Yes.
Of Doctor Who.
I'm talking the
but
spin-off.
How many blocks of Doctor Who are there for a season?
There's usually 2 to 3 episodes per block, and there's usually 12 to 13 episodes per season, depending.
I thought they classified first block as in first half. I'm like, oh my god, is there only going to be 4 episodes this season?
No. A filming block is episodes they film in succession.
Yes, I gathered that, but I was just like, wait a second, there's only like
usually and sometimes a filming block is not all of an episode. Like they will do studio shots for 2 to 3 episodes in one block and do location shooting for another block while something else is using the studio. That's rare, though. These days, they tend to separate the block into studio half and location half. So, still, that means that the first chunk, basically what they do is they film those consecutively, and then they give the actors a week off to basically, rest and rememorize the stuff for the next block. And otherwise you get actor burnout really quickly, where you're acting one script while trying to start memorizing the lines for the next script, and so on and so forth until you're just about ready to explode. It's what happened to the first couple Doctors.
Anyway, next.
All right, next up we've got Stephen Moffat does not want to he wants to avoid the embarrassment of drawing attention to his upcoming exit on the show. And another article linking to Cultbox. Let's see here. He is going to be stepping down, of course, at the end as the lead, stepping down from the role as lead writer in 2017's Christmas special, following season 10 next spring. Chibnall will be taking over, of course, and then speaking of Doctor Who magazine, the latest issue, he's going to approach his last ever episode and whether there would be a victory lap like the Russell T Davies final episode. He said the departure of his show's runner doesn't mean anything to the audience. Most of the audience doesn't know that I exist, so they'd go blank if I attempted to wave goodbye to them. Oh, the embarrassment that would be. So I'm damned if I'm imposing my departure on the show.
I didn't see that as Russell's victory lap. I saw it as basically the Doctor's victory lap. So that might have been my own personal view on it.
I mean, it definitely helped in that situation that the 10th Doctor was in that incarnation pretty much involved in everything that happened during the Russell era, since 3 of the 4 seasons were that Doctor, and he shared the same companions.
He shared the same companion. In fact, the only companion he didn't share with came back in a later season for a trilogy.
He had Rose, he had Jack, he had Jackie, he had Mickey.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing he didn't have was the Slitheen, which did not appear in that episode.
Yep, and nobody gave a fuck.
Right.
Yeah,
They're not appearing in this episode.
Hell, he even had the face of Bo and Cassandra.
Mm-hmm.
He even had Sarah Jane, which they actually slightly crossed over with Sarah Jane Adventures.
9 did not have Sarah Jane.
No, but I mean, no, but what I mean is, in that victory lap, they even had Sarah Jane in there.
But she appeared in. She was a 10th Doctor companion. She was never a 9th.
Well, so she was a one-off episoder, but then again, she came back for
1 episode and a 2-parter.
Yep.
Moffat also added, I just want to do a good one before I hand over to Chris. So
We hope.
Let's hope you can do a good one.
Mm-hmm.
You're not good at writing under pressure, but if you could do another Day of the Doctor, where, because Day of the Doctor, I will still say, is probably the best episode of New Who we've seen.
What would you say if Moffat's last episode was named something like Day of Missy? And it was Day of the Doctor for the Master.
Oh, that would actually be kind of cool.
Depending on how it's written, that could be cool.
Yeah.
It could also be an absolute
as long
disaster.
As it's not a day in the life of River Song.
Yeah, not as long as it's not the Day of River.
Day of the River would be terrible.
A river runs through it.
Day of the River, and I wouldn't care. Moffat would be on my shit list. He would be ending on my shit list
For all eternity. The one mortal that still deserves a good, strong kick to the gonads.
Now, I will mention the fact Russell T Davies wasn't the greatest episode writer. He was great at the overarching storyline, and was great at helping other writers get good episodes. But his own episodes were a little lackluster.
Mm-hmm.
He was great at writing epic moments.
Yes.
But yeah, some of the stuff in between connecting the epic moments, he had a certain sense of humor that was childish.
And his world building was great.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, there was a lot of stuff that he did that I didn't like, and he realized, I think, after the fact, that wasn't that good. Like the Slovene.
So
he was the one that created the Slovene and basically said, yeah, this is a little too kiddie, which is why they got downgraded to Sarah Jane Adventures after that first season.
All right, so I'm reading some of the comments on this page too, and apparently the original title for this article is different. Originally, the title read, Moffat says his era won't end with the embarrassment of an RTD-style goodbye.
Ooh.
They changed it. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, well, the thing is, End of Time 1 and 2 isn't well-liked. You get a lot of eye rolling. I like it, personally.
It's a good send-off, but it's not like the best written story by any means.
Again, it's Russell T Davies, but
yeah, I consider it a mix of really strong moments and really weak moments.
But pretty much everything, I think pretty much everything after the Doctor crashes into the building at the end, I loved every minute from it from there.
Yeah. Yeah, that was like the strongest part, and it stayed the strongest part throughout until they finally wrapped it up.
Including the victory lap, which he's poo-pooing.
Mm-hmm.
I liked all of it. It made me, I was very emotional.
There is a very vocal fan base that cannot stand pretty much everything that happened, starting with the 4-time knock by Wilf and everything after that. There's a lot of people very vocal that cannot stand any of that.
And I love, and they can take a long jump off a short pier, because I love pretty much all of it. That feeling of euphoria, I'm smiling my ass off when he's like, I'm alive, I'm still alive. And then you hear the knock and everything falls. And now I will admit, Wilf was stupid to make that knock.
Yeah,
but it's still
always bothered me.
But at the same time, I don't think Wilf was thinking about what the Doctor mentioned to him earlier, because he's, freaking out about being trapped in the box. So, again, I can still see that happening. And if he had only knocked 3 times, then the Doctor would have been warned he'll knock 3 times, Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Either way, the emotional level on that, the Doctor's rage against having to do this, I enjoyed every minute of it. I felt horrible, but I enjoyed it, if you understand what I mean. And then, it all happens, and you're watching all of this, and you're so emotional that you're on the verge of breaking up, and then finally that last, I don't want to go. And the first time I watched it, I think I let everything go at that point. I started crying. So, if you don't like all that, yeah, screw you.
So, yeah, whatever.
So, yeah, Moffat, if he's poo-pooing that, to each his own, but still, some of us enjoyed that victory lap and that finale. I still find that to be one of the actual regeneration at the end to be one of the saddest moments in New Who. Moffat thinks it's the loss of Amy and Rory at the end of Angels Take Manhattan, which I don't. So we will always be of separate opinions on this.
Ah,
And that's all I have to say about that.
no annoyance from Moffat aside. Next.
Yes. So,
I think that's everything for me.
1,
yeah.
2, 3,
Yeah, that was
4. Yep, you're done.
Woohoo!
So
So it is
moving on
all
to
10.
events.
Yes.
Reminds me I still haven't watched that trailer.
If anyone was worried that Jenna Coleman would not find work after Doctor Who, rest assured that she has found work, as according to Codebox, they have a trailer out for her Queen Victoria series.
She's like Matt moving on to classic historical drama.
It was made by the makers of Poldark and will air on ITV. In it, Jenna Coleman plays Queen Victoria. And
Title role, nice.
Mm-hmm.
And it will follow her from her ascension to the throne at 18 to her courtship and marriage with Prince Albert. Will she keep him in a can? I don't know.
Shortly thereafter, she will found Torchwood.
Yes. Now, the thing is, I think I remember hearing news about this earlier, that she had been cast, but...
We covered her casting. This is...
Yeah, this is the trailer. Yeah, I wasn't really worried about Jenna Coleman finding work. And, most of the people that have been in Doctor Who have moved on to other things. Billie Piper went on to do, what was it that she's now famous for?
Diary of a Call Girl and Penny Dreadful, which I actually didn't realize was as recent as it is. I thought it had been running longer. I would have checked it out if I realized that it was relatively new when I heard about it.
Yeah, it's only a couple of years, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's either on or just finished its 3rd season, something like that. I hadn't realized it was, because I heard about it a couple of years ago, so it was probably on season 1. But from the way people are talking about it, it was like a well-established thing. So I'm like, oh,
well, the concept of the Penny Dreadful.
I got a couple seasons. I don't have time for it.
Yeah, the concept of the Penny Dreadful is a well-established thing. I've been reading old, like, Penny Dreadful style comics and stuff for quite a while. This series was, I think, 2014 was its premiere season. Now, let's see. What's her face? Freema Agyeman went on to do Law and Order UK.
And Sense8. Although
John Barrowman
on Sense8 season.
Yeah, John Barrowman has come on to do Arrow, and up huge fame on that. Catherine Tate has her own stuff, and then Amy, I cannot remember. Karen Gillian has gone on to do Marvel movies.
And
while her husband went to DC.
And she's also been apparently dabbling in horror writing and acting because of shorts.
Noel Clarke, I think, joined David Tennant on Broadchurch, if I remember right.
I believe so.
Mm-hmm.
He's also done a couple other things.
Yeah.
And was in Star Trek Into Darkness, but I won't hold that against him. Because his role in there wasn't bad. It's mostly Cumberbatch I have issues with in Into Darkness. And who else? I mean,
Arthur Darvill, if you didn't mention him, went on to Legends of Tomorrow.
I did. I mentioned that he went to DC while she went to Marvel. But let's see. Eccleston went on to do Heroes and has done a lot of other things since then, and most recently played also an evil in Marvel.
He did G.I. Joe, but we won't hold that against him.
And in G.I. Joe. And Tennant went on to play evil in Marvel.
Yep.
As well as a famous police detective in Broadchurch. So he's got stuff. And Matt Smith has also gone into the historical drama, playing the wife or the husband of Queen Elizabeth, if I recall.
So along those lines. And he's also had a few off
The husband
movies.
of Queen Elizabeth, that rings a certain memory in the Doctor's life.
Yes, but this is Queen Elizabeth II.
Ah, that's right. I think you mentioned that. Is that the one that's alive now?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, but this is like a period drama from like the 50s. Remember, her coronation was an episode of Doctor Who back in like the second season. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she's been here long enough that they can do historical dramas about her early days.
Pretty much.
Anyway, so all of the major Doctor Who people have gone on to do good things. So Jenna Coleman is not going to be alone in doing great work in whatever field. I mean, she's probably been able to choose her own role, you know?
Probably.
And if she wants to do the historical drama, hey, there you go.
I get to be the queen.
As I think, you know, Karen Gilliam and Arthur Darvill got their roles so they could get invited back to Comic-Con.
Because they love their fans, and their fans love them.
Hey, if I could do work that would get me invited to Comic-Con, I would do it. I would do work that would get me invited to Comic-Con.
Mm-hmm.
It's fucking Comic-Con.
Even better yet, doing work that gets you to Comic-Con and you get to sit in the air-conditioned rooms all day instead of having to stand out in lines.
Right. So I just watched the trailer on and off while we were talking. Whenever I wasn't talking, my mic was muted and I was watching the trailer. Doesn't really give anything to indicate how good the series will or will not be. There wasn't really much in the way of comedy or anything in there. There was one comedic line and one moment where Jenna Coleman actually had emotion to put on, but mostly she was being dignified, silent queen, or relatively silent. So it really doesn't give much to judge off of other than the fact that relatively high production values, but we probably assumed that.
Mm-hmm.
It's the Victorian era. Everybody's default expression is stoic.
Yeah. So like I'm saying, nothing really to give any indication of how enjoyable it will be. The one comedic line I mentioned was her saying to somebody in a stoic voice, "You don't think I'm too short to be dignified." So, but you don't get to see the reaction to that or how comedic that scene actually is. So it really is just a whistle in the wind, and as far as the trailer goes.
So yeah, we wish her good luck on that series, and I don't know if I'll be able to see it, but I'm kind of hoping I'll be able to catch it somewhere. I mean, you know, BBC America does not just pay attention to what the BBC says; they'll import stuff from ITV too if it's good enough. So we might be seeing that. They won't. It'll has to wait the 6 months or whatever translation time, unlike BBC stuff, which will be aired simultaneously, but. There's a possibility we might be seeing it on BBC America. If not that,
Victoria will air in the U.S. early next year.
So they've already found somebody to ship it out here. I don't know who. It does. If it might be there, it might hit HBO. Depends on what audience they're going for.
Yeah.
It's not public TV because that'd be 2-3 years.
Yeah. Pretty much. Next.
Let's see. That's my article, right?
Yep.
Okay, so Doctor Who News brings us the information that BBC Worldwide have confirmed that the Paul McGann 1996 Doctor Who TV movie will be released on Blu-ray in September. I don't know if this means they've cleared, or actually no, I do think they've cleared up distribution rights. It's all of the other rights that were never cleared up. So yeah, BBC does own distribution. They say further details will be available closer to the release date, as the extra details, such as the DVD extras, are still being finalized. But they do say it will be a double disc release. So I'm guessing a couple behind the scenes things, maybe some of the never released specials, such as that which we try not to name. Probably some other things.
Not so sure about that.
Maybe I'm guessing a big Finish featurette, maybe Blood of the Daleks. I wouldn't be shocked.
Probably Night of the Doctor too.
I was just gonna say probably
Night of the Doctor might be there as well. Yeah, so one bad TV special that we don't mention and one good TV special that people love to mention.
This is not the first time the TV movie was released, because it was released on DVD a few years back.
Yeah, it was on DVD.
However, the Eighth Doctor is still considered Classic Who, so this is a note that this is actually the second thing for Classic Who to be released on Blu-ray. The first being Spearhead from Space.
Okay.
Yeah,
I remember us covering.
Yeah, I remember us mentioning that when it first started to come out.
Yeah, because I remember bitching, oh my god, this means I need to start my...
here, or at least a big Finish featurette.
Mm-hmm.
I remember bitching about the fact that this means I need to start my collection over again.
Yeah.
And again, I will reiterate, oh my god, I have to start my Doctor Who collection over again.
And the article does remind us that the TV movie celebrated its 20th anniversary several months ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. 1996. So they're trying to release it for the 20th. Not directly on the 20th, but the same year as. Yep. That's cool. Since, some of the Doctor Who stuff is going to be hitting 50-some anniversaries. The early stuff already has, and pretty much everything Hartnell already has. So, yeah.
Some love for the McGann.
Yep, a little love for the Paul McGann era. I really want to see what the extras are, but no news yet.
We'll have to wait and see if they give us some specs by the time it comes out.
Also, is this Blu-ray going to be U.S. also? I cannot remember. If I know there's such a thing as Blu-ray regions, but I can never remember what they are.
I do remember them being a bit broader than DVD was. That much I do remember.
Right.
But I don't remember the specifics either.
Because the UK is Region B, and we're Region A. And
Britain, America.
So, yeah, they'll need to have a separate DVD for us. Oddly enough, region codes for Blu-ray, United States and Japan share a region code.
That's right. That was the one.
Yeah, because I think it basically comes down to PAL versus NTSC, even though they're not really necessary of a thing anymore.
There's still Region C, which is China, Russia, and everything. China, India, Russia, and everything in between.
So all the things that that are normally lumped with Japan.
Yeah, where Japan would normally be lumped with would have been China, Korea, everything, and Japan and Korea and Singapore and Malaysia are all Region 1. And all of North and South America are Region 1, except this tiny, tiny country just north of Brazil, I can't remember which country it is, is Region B2. And all of Greenland, Iceland, Europe, the Middle East, Africa, Madagascar, Australia, New Zealand, and I forget which part of the India or the islands, the eastern part of the island north of Australia are all Region 2. And then like I said, everything from India north through all of Asia from India north is all Region C, save for Singapore, save for Thailand and the neighboring countries, Korea, Japan, Philippines, all of that. So,
So I just checked both versions of Amazon. The Blu-ray does appear for pre-order with no preview image on Amazon.co.uk. It does not appear on Amazon.com.
So
we don't have anything yet.
No,
Yeah.
that probably means that we will be getting a U.S. release, but not until like 2017, 2018.
Or
not
until they decide when they want to do it, if they're going to do it.
Do we remember?
Well, we usually see it within a year after. A year after it appears in the UK, so probably we'll see it early next year.
Anywho,
Trying to compare when the two different, and I'm saying we did get different versions with slightly different colors of Spearhead from Space. I'm trying to see when the release dates were in either country.
Anywho,
it's been a while. Anyway, so
Legacy.
Yes, Doctor Who Legacy has decided today to launch a latest level pack for the game. Even though that none of us are playing it anymore and don't cover it, we're figuring we're light enough on news that we're going to mention it.
I still log in daily to get my points and trying to collect more characters, but
it's not even on my phone anymore. But then I don't have the space.
One last note: it does look like there was only a 1 month gap between the U.S. and the U.K. and Spearhead from Space Blu-ray, so that may or may not be the case here. But we're going to keep an ear.
Yeah, we'll keep an ear to the ground and see if the next month it'll pop up.
The difference could be anywhere between a month and a year. That's usually what we see in DVD delays between the UK and the US. But we'll try to keep you informed. Back to Legacy. I don't play Legacy anymore. It's not on my phone. Trust me, my phone does not have the space to do much of anything these days. I can't even get a new phone, but that's a topic for another matter.
Because it's bigger on the Pokemon.
Bigger on the Inside, Chapter 1 is the continuation of the saga that began last year with Bigger on the Inside Prologue, which I don't think we covered, which sees all the Doctors facing a dire threat as an unknown virus invades the TARDIS. Bigger on the Inside is written by George Mann, writer of the Engines of War novel, as many of the Doctor Who Titan comics, and fixtures the same pixelated art that they've been doing for the past year or so. Their blurb is, follow the War and Eighth Doctors as they try to save the TARDIS and figure out who is behind the deadly attack. Traveling from turn-of-the-century San Francisco back to deep inside the Time War and many places in between. As well as grouping, remember the Time War is supposed to be time-locked, so I have issues.
Yeah.
As well as grouping with allies such as Grace Holloway, Sindler, and the Gallifreyan General. Bodhi, is that? I don't know. Yeah. Bigger on the Inside, Chapter 1 also sees the introduction of Josie Day from the 8th Doctor Titan comics to the Legacy universe. This 31 level pack is basically $5 US. They get 31 new levels as 20 new pixel costumes. Personally, I wasn't that thrilled with the pixel costumes because
I'm not really into their pixel art either.
So that really didn't do much for me. So if you like it, go ahead. You've got new levels, $5. More power to you. I'm not going to bother.
Considering how much you played the game when you first heard about it.
Yeah, but, then my phone started not acting too well, so.
Yeah. Poor Anne's phone.
But yeah, their pixel art's kind of meh.
Yeah, I'm not overly fond of the pixel art concept myself. As far as games like this, I would prefer.
As nice as the other art is, just stay with that art instead.
Yeah.
All right,
moving on because I don't have much to say about Doctor Who Legacy anymore.
Comics.
Yeah, moving on to book news. So we are going to be seeing the release of a new Torchwood comic today, actually. It's going to be written by Captain Jack himself, John Barrowman, along with his sister Carol Barrowman, and illustrated by Antonio Fuso. And then also
I get the feeling that when they say it's written by John and Carol, that he provides the story and probably the dialogue, and that she's the one who actually writes.
I don't know anything about Carol Barrowman, so I can't. I don't know.
It's just a feeling that I get that he does the Fanish stuff and she does the legwork, but I could be completely off. I'm honestly not. I don't remember if I got that for a reason or if it's just.
Okay.
All right. So just so you guys know, I don't know if we lost Bill again, but it sounded like he got cut off there.
We might have.
Oh well.
Anyway, before you go on, Aaron, for a moment, just doing a quick check. Carol Barrowman is a professor of English, director of creative studies in writing at Alverno College in Milwaukee.
Oh,
cool. She is a crime fiction columnist for the Milwaukee Sentinel.
Oh.
And so, yes, she is a writer. Apparently, so is John to some extent. So this could actually be a full collaboration.
Yeah, I remember John apparently got his first bit in acting in the Milwaukee area.
Oh yeah, they're local. They're from they were born in Scotland, but they were raised in the Milwaukee, Chicago area. So they're that's why he sounds American, was because he was raised local boy, Midwesterner from the land of cheese and badgers,
badgers and milk,
beer,
and beer.
Badgers.
And not good badgers. European beer, good old American watery beer.
Me. All right. Also, we should probably note that this new Torchwood series does run in continuity, the same continuity as the Big Finish audio series for Torchwood as well. So, and I'll go over the synopsis here quick. Captain Jack Harkness is back in Cardiff, and there's only one person he can turn to. The last person who expected to see him, Gwen Cooper. On the run and under fire, can the pair put aside their differences and rebuild the heart of Torchwood before its flame is stamped out forever? That sounds actually kind of exciting.
Yeah, it sounds interesting. I would be interested to see how it does, and I bet Carol did a good chunk of it because John's pretty busy these days.
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm sure he has creative input.
At the very least, he's going over and going, no, Captain Jack would say it like this. But
I think with everything he's doing in terms of working with multiple agencies and trying to push for it on the TV. By the way, you're hearing me right because it's connections.
Yeah, we're hearing you.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
It seems my bandwidth might be part of the issue with Discord, but I have a feeling he has a general story direction in mind and is relying on professional writers to actually get there.
This is not the first time he's collaborated with his sister.
Yeah.
No, yeah, but I mean, there's also the fact that he's obviously not the main writer for the Big Finish, and this is under the same continuity. And he's pushing, doing a renewed push for the TV. So I think he's got a story in mind that he's been pushing for, with other writers kind of doing the actual, the in-between work.
He's trying to push Torchwood back to the forefront so he can really get the new series he wants to get off the ground. Which we'll see about. We'll see if he can do it.
Would love it if he could do it.
Depends on the quality.
And also depends on whether they take Miracle Day into the continuity or not.
Yeah, and the fact that even before Miracle Day, Children of Earth was not the greatest miniseries either.
Yeah, I didn't like that one either.
Essentially, the miniseries stuff needs to go.
Yeah. Even season 2 itself wasn't as good as season 1, but it was still watchable.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
To be fair, the main problem with season 3 is that the lighthearted parts got cut because the actors they wanted weren't available.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's not me. Who is that?
Not me.
What? Is it me?
Do you hear a fan rustling, Aaron?
I hear somebody rubbing on what sounds like somebody rubbing on their mic.
Yeah, and I can hear at that time, so it's not me. So
I don't hear anything.
So it might be the fan blowing on your mic.
On my mic, I just stood up and kind of took a little quick walk around the desk here, and now just sat down.
I think you just got put in the fans' way when you did that.
Ah, okay.
All right. So yeah. He's probably just pushing hard to get Torchwood out in the public eye again.
Yeah.
I don't really have much else to say about that.
As long as it's good stuff, I don't mind him pushing.
But on a side note, Aaron, we should really push next year to see if we can get Carol Barrowman invited to GeekCon.
That would be really nice.
Yeah,
especially since she could probably be more affordable than her brother.
Yeah.
And provide much more professional, well, not much more, but she could also provide professional commentary on writing.
That'd be nice.
Yeah,
She could do that. She could also help us get
John
links
would
to
be
John.
more likely to make out with the head of the con than to provide anything professional.
We said John, not Jack.
Have you seen what John Barrowman does at conventions?
I saw what he did at this year's Comic-Con. That was awesome.
An adorable little magic carp.
That was in Hawaii, Matt.
Every week, if not every day, there's a picture of John Barrowman kissing someone else on my Facebook feed, with or without tongue.
Ooh.
I saw him dressed as Squirrel Girl.
Yep.
That's right, he did do that, didn't he?
Also as, what's his name from Futurama?
Zap Brannigan.
That's the one.
Which makes total sense.
Ooh, my.
Which, if they ever did a Futurama live-action movie, Kim or, of course, Nathan Fillion would be the top choices, I think. Just going all out 100%.
Can't be, yeah. Anyway,
moving on, I guess.
Big Finish.
Big Finish. All right, so Big Finish has 2 new things out. The first is Volume 1 of the box set Classic Doctor's New Monsters.
Tip, Big Finish?
Huh?
Yeah.
What?
He started.
Aaron. What's your problem?
I'm not hearing him at all.
I'm hearing him just fine.
All right. Be right back.
Continue, Tim.
So, Classic Doctor's New Monsters, Volume 1 is out now. Yes, the thing we've been talking about. And in it, the 5th Doctor will face the Weeping Angels. The 6th Doctor will face the Jadoon. The 7th Doctor will face the Sycorax. And the 8th Doctor will face the Sontarans.
Oh, this article reminds me of something I was going to bring up before the stream, but I think I got interrupted. So a lot of people don't want to outright mention this because they're afraid of getting the graphic designer behind Big Finish covers in trouble. So all I'm going to say is look closely at the logo, and you'll see something probably shouldn't be on a Doctor Who cover. Nothing pornographic or anything,
logo.
But
I'm not seeing
if I
anything.
recall, it's between the Doctor and the Who. You have to zoom.
If it's in the picture that can easily be zoomed up in the corner, there's definitely nothing there. And if it's supposed to be on the picture here in the middle, again, it's just black. I don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah, I think that was an early.
Okay, so they actually apparently removed it then because they changed the vortex in the background.
Yeah, they. I know what you're talking about. Originally, the vortex image used in promotional images for this?
It's on the CD version as well.
Oh, really?
Which is why I just assumed it would be there without looking. But people have got the version at least
it was taken from an episode of Star Trek: The Next Generation, and showed the Enterprise coming through a weird vortex void-like thing. And people, and of course, you know, the internet being the internet, this was pointed out by a few thousand people, and, you know, zooming in, seeing it, everything. And so apparently they've now quickly did a cover redone using a more generic, it looks like 10th Doctor era swirly vortex behind it.
Mm-hmm.
And I bet somebody's gotten fired.
Oh, I bet you somebody definitely got
Quite
fired
possibly,
if they did that.
I remember the Big Finish listeners group on Facebook had pointed out what search term you need to find in it's like the 4th or 5th image there, and they were wondering if other covers were found that way. I'm not finding it right now, so it's possible that someone noticed it and made it stop showing up on Google. But it was some combination of the word vortex, something else. I just tried right now really quickly to find it, and I couldn't. So I'd have to get back to you if you actually wanted to find it that way. But it was definitely there.
It happened. It's over.
Yeah.
Let's move on.
Moving on.
Yep.
So there is a new Torchwood Big Finish out now called Made You Look, which stars Eve Miles as Gwen Cooper.
All right. New Torchwood.
It takes place in a lonely seaside town called Talmouth, where no one goes in and no one comes out. Has it been taken over by aliens?
It's Silent Hill.
Maybe.
Now, there's a crossover for you. Gwen Cooper goes to Silent Hill.
That would actually be pretty cool.
As she walks in, the fog just closes in and you hear the creepy music start to play.
Somebody needs to make a mod for Silent Hill where the protagonist looks like Gwen Cooper.
Luckily, Gwen Cooper is on the case in Talmouth. Moving on to release coming soon. Doctor Who Order of the Daleks, which features the 6th Doctor Colin Baker and Miranda Raisin as Mrs. Clark.
And a stained glass Technicolor Dream Dalek right there in the middle.
Wow, that Dalek looks amazing. I want that Dalek. Someone build me that Dalek.
That is a nice Dalek.
So obviously the Daleks liked Colin's coat and tried to make themselves look like it as much as possible.
I am the Dalek of many colors.
Well, do these little stained glass windows, because basically the purpose of stained glass windows, if I might flex my art degree muscles, the main point of them is to tell a story for the most part. Now, what kind of story is being told in these little stained glass windows? Anyone can see?
Trying to have a good look. I'm not really
kind
seeing
of
much
hints?
at the
It
moment.
looks like we've got like wavy green and a starry night overhead. It looks like there's a woman on the stained glass window underneath.
I'm not sure. It's
like
really hard to
one
make
that's
out.
off in the
It's
center. Yeah.
honestly really hard to make out this artwork. We have to get like a much bigger version to look at.
I just want that Dalek show.
It's a
awesome.
very, very colorful, shiny Dalek.
And also very pointy. Notice it doesn't have the sucker. It has a clawed hand and then like a little stinger-like thing coming out of the ray gun area.
Mm-hmm.
It'd also be very fragile.
Yeah. Don't let Ace in the same building as this one, or it might shatter.
That stinger thing is an old classic gun. When they used to fire, that have that stinger thing.
Oh, that's
come out
right.
of
They
the
have
gun.
a little bit of a thing come out.
Mm-hmm.
And the claw ones we did see on occasion, usually on the special ones that needed to pull levers or do something else.
So that looks like
a sucker couldn't do.
Yeah, that a sucker could do. It looks like a stained glass movie era Dalek.
Yeah, these actually, if you look closely at the claw, it's not just a regular claw. It looks like a bird's claw. It looks more organic looking almost. The stinger looks more organic too.
Still interesting.
Still moving on.
Moving on. The trailer for Doom Coalition 3 is now out, which features the 8th Doctor Paul McGann and Nicola Walker as Liv and Hattie Morahan as Helen. And it features a nun with a gun. Hey, that rhymes. Cool. It can be pre-ordered at £20 on CD or download.
A very particular nun with a gun. And yep,
Okay.
we've been hearing about this coming up, so yay, it's out.
Okay. Well, Yates has the trailer for it. Yeah.
Trailer, and it's about to come out.
All right. I think that does it for our Big Finish news and our news. This is
Cool.
this is where we have our general chit chat. Normally, Aaron and I would discuss a movie, but I've been sick, so we haven't gone to see one.
Mm-hmm.
Bill has gone to see Star Trek Beyond.
Yep. The movie that I wanted to see this week that just came out, sadly, has only come out in Japan, which is Godzilla Resurgence. However, we did recently get the good news that Funimation will be releasing it in United States theaters. So while we cannot review it now, I will definitely be watching it at some point in theaters this year.
I will say I have heard some early reviews from it, and a lot of the reviews have been extremely positive from those who have actually seen it.
Funi's doing Godzilla movies now?
Funi is going to dub this and release it for us, or at least release it for us.
Mm. By the way, it is referred to as Funimation, even though it looks like Funimation, and that's from people that's worked there. I'm not sure why, but
I always assumed it was one that could be pronounced either way.
Bill, stop anal retentively spamming us stuff.
I figured you'd like to see it.
Yes, but every time you do that, it actually pops across onto the screen. So Matt gets it. Matt gets it on there too. I'm pretty sure.
That depends. Where we get
that might just be a Windows 10 thing. I don't know.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm actually sitting here looking at something and it pops across on the bottom like a Windows update message.
Got you. But yes, I did see Star Trek Beyond yesterday, in fact, which was actually kind of nice because I thought I had $1 left on my gift card, but I actually had 11. So I ended up effectively seeing it for free because I went during matinee and therefore it was only $10, even though apparently it was 3D without me realizing it ahead of time. But
I'm sorry.
Definitely did think it was an improvement over the recent two. Time?
I'm not big on the 3D, the whole 3D thing.
No,
I will
and there were definitely a few times with wearing the 3D over my glasses that I had to just take it off and rub my eyes a bit because it was hurting my eyes.
No, my main problem is that 3D is either done really, really, really good or really, really, really crappy. And really, really crappy tends to be 90% of 3D. I
actually thought the 3D was done fairly well in this one. There were definitely some scenes that enhanced, and I didn't feel like it detracted from any. I still don't think I would have
paid the extra to see it in 3D.
Yeah, I don't think I would have intentionally paid extra for it, but I think there were a few scenes that it was helped by. That helped.
Any scenes where they did the flying things at your face?
I don't think so. Not that I noticed.
Okay.
I don't remember what the 3D in the in the space dock scenes were like, but I don't remember anything like that. I more remember it like I don't remember. It was either stalactites in a cave or something very similar to stalactites, and I remember that as being a kind of standout effect. There were definitely some things in the trailer that looked a lot better with 3D. Those are the main ones that stand out to me.
I don't like it when they build...
trailer, sorry, in the credits, I mean.
Yeah, I don't like it when they build 3D out. I love it when they build 3D in, so you give you a sense of depth. Mm-hmm. I've mentioned James Cameron's Avatar before as a really good example of 3D because he used it to build depth to the world. And at the same time, there were other things where they had the 3D come out into your face, and it's just like, no.
Right.
Yeah, other movies, I should say. Beowulf came out about the same time, and that was horrible. 3D. It's a horrible movie, but 3D made it
I like
even
the
worse.
roller coaster ride version of 3D. That's always fun.
Which Beowulf?
Yeah,
It was
version.
It was that
wish
quasi-animated one that made it feel like uncanny Beowulf, the Uncanny Valley edition.
I was fine with that one, at least in 2D.
I do just wish that
made it worse.
That studios would remember that you're watching 3D movies with sunglasses, because they don't make the movie any brighter to the point where there were one or two scenes where I had to take the 3D glasses off just to see what the fuck was going on. Because it's already a dark scene and they don't do anything to lighten it.
At least you're not watching it with the old red and blue things anymore.
Then I would go out of my way to make sure I was not watching 3D, because that would detract from this.
Yeah. The kind of thing that'll give you a hangover migraine even though you aren't having a hangover.
Okay, so your thoughts overall that it's basically better than...
Yeah, I think the writing was improved. It has been mentioned that there was a lot less in the terms of skimpy fan fiction stuff, although there was a scene where you could see someone's nipples through their uniform, which I felt was kind of distracting and unnecessary.
I missed
that. Was really the worst. But
what scene was that?
It was Uhura during one scene where she walks up to the camera. You see her nipple poking out. It was kind of weird, and I didn't think the uniform should do that.
Did she do a dance with palm fronds?
No, we won't see that for a couple of movies.
Won't see that until we get to a movie in about the next 20 or 30 years.
No. I mentioned it last week. The Star Trek movies are paralleling to the original series movies. The first movie, they thought a big alien presence threatening Earth. The second movie, they dealt with Khan. The third movie, they blew up the damn ship. So the fourth movie, we've heard they're going back in time. So the fifth movie is the movie that we're going to see them sing God, and Uhura will have to do a naked palm frond dance. I'm calling it now.
Oh boy.
At least this one's only going to be about 4 or 5 years down the road, so the actress doing it is still going to be sexy.
Ouch.
Well, Nichelle was, how old was she when she did that? Because she was in her 20s in the 60s, and that was 88, 89.
She had to be in her 40s?
50s.
Going on to 50s, yeah.
Yeah, so it was like watching my grandmother do a dance.
I don't know what you're talking
and
about.
Either I don't know if she didn't age well or if she was in old age makeup at the time, but I do remember her looking very gray at the time.
Was she in a bodysuit when she did that dance?
I'm not sure.
I'm not sure.
I would hope so. It would be very uncomfortable to do that out in the open.
I think at that point, Bill, she had just decided to stop dyeing it.
Gotcha.
I mean, I'm in my 40s, and I look at my hair and I can count,
Then again, yeah, that's true. There's so many people dying. We do kind of think, people actually do tend to gray earlier than we assume, just because so many of them die.
Yeah, I know. I'm seriously considering it.
Of course, I keep my head shaved, so no one will ever know.
Yeah, I don't think I could do that.
Angle.
They did make fun of the fan dance on Futurama.
But they did do a lot of very character-oriented plots, which I think it was pretty nice. They also made nods to the 50th anniversary. Although I would have liked the time travel one to be the 50th anniversary, but
no, this worked, and I did love the fact that they introduced a character that they can use to replace Chekhov, even though they didn't realize it at the time. Because they're going to need to now, God damn it.
Right.
Such as misfortune and luck.
Either that, or they have to have an accident where Chekhov off screen gets put in an aging machine and comes out as Walter Koenig.
Maybe that's what the whole going into or merging the timelines means.
They visit a planet that super ages everybody, and the only one who doesn't get cured is Chekhov.
Oddly enough, there was an original series episode that did that.
Yeah, but I think they cured everybody.
Yes, they did. But it was Chekhov that fell for it first. I'm fairly certain it was Chekhov that first contracted it.
You might be right.
They could do that. They could, honest to God, do that.
I mean, granted, there's so many of them that would just be in old age makeup, and they wouldn't have any old cast members to bring back. But do you think?
No,
they
wouldn't have to do the whole
part. Think they bring in the Shat for that?
They wouldn't have to do the whole part. They wouldn't have to age everybody. But they could reference that episode. They could look at the episode and mention the planet name and stuff. And you hear, Kirk, Chris Pine, doing the captain's log. We have gotten ourselves cured from the disease on, planets.
Right.
But for whatever reason, it didn't work on Chekhov. And the bridge doors that open, and Walter Koenig walks out and takes his place as navigator. They could do that. They honestly could do that.
I don't know if they would, but yeah.
I don't know if they would either.
Work.
I'm just saying they could. They have. I mean, something has to be done to replace Chekhov.
Yeah, something does need to be done. It's just
Yelkin's dead. I mean, they can either try digital Yelkin, which would uncanny valley us.
I don't think
they could have Chekhov transferred or died, most likely died off screen between series, and replaced by this new character, which is the most likely. Or they could find some way to bring Walter Koenig into the current continuity.
And of course, he was a major character in this movie, so they can't just turn around and be like, "Oh yeah, we're not going to mention him anymore."
No, it doesn't work that way.
That would be really weird.
Because fans will rage and go, "Where's Chekhov? Mm-hmm. What are you doing about Chekhov? Why aren't you mentioning it?" I mean, they mentioned Leonard Nimoy's death by killing Ambassador Spock, and I just spoilered that. I'm sorry, but they handled it well.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Even so, yes, they mentioned it. They'll do that. If they don't do anything with Chekhov, they're going to get
I was actually just saying in a conversation with somebody earlier, they did Star Trek 2, and then Leonard Nimoy died, and then or 2 or whatever number you feel like calling it, and then they did this movie, and then Yelchin died. So what's going to happen after the next movie? Like, I'm kind of nervous now. They're going to film the next movie and something's going to happen.
Maybe they'll kill the Shat. I don't know. Anyway, let's go on to our 5-minute challenge here as we are behind schedule.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. 5-minute challenge. If you can do it in less, bonus. Who wants to try? Because I think I did it last week, if I recall.
Not it.
And I assume Bill's not prepared.
I'll go for it. I have some notes specifically since I knew I hadn't done it in a while. I haven't written out a full thing, but at least I have enough notes to do it in linear order.
Okie doke.
All right.
Let's see if Bill can do it on notes.
Okay, pull up the stopwatch, would you, Matt?
It
is
not be
already
5
up minutes,
ready.
But we've done 6 minutes before.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Okay.
Ready, Bill?
Yep.
All right. Start in 3, 2, 1, go.
The doctor declares to the courtroom that he is going to look at a mission from his future. It shows him working out with a new companion, although she's clearly a seasoned companion by this point, Mel in the TARDIS. The doctor's already concerned about his ears. In Mel's first scene, they notice a mayday call and materialize the TARDIS into a starship. Kennedy takes the doctor to the captain, who knows him and Evelyn from a Big Finish production. and says he never sent a Mayday. The doctor checks manages to get a hold on the passenger list and finds that he doesn't know anybody on it. Mel is contacted, and the doctor sneaks off to meet him, although the contact appears to be dead. A sneaky pair, a man and a woman, seem to be up to something and are watching what's going on, although at this point we don't know who they are, because apparently the Matrix footage has been edited in order to be very suspenseful. Great for a courtroom, I guess. Mel and a crewman go off to the hydroponics area, which the doctor states he discouraged her from doing in the original version of the footage, and that this version of the Matrix footage has been tampered with. The crewman is then killed by a booby trap, and the body disappears before investigators find it. The doctor then brings some seeds he found where the original person who appeared to be dead from his quarters to an expert who happens to be the shady woman that's been looking around. And she's actually Professor Lasky, an expert in plants. I forget the specific name of the scientific field. She initially accuses him of stealing them. And then when he explains where he found them, she explains that they're a very rare and valuable seed. The doctor discovers an undercover agent looking for a trader who the doctor did know, who had contacted him, faked his death, and now has died for real for plot convenience. The shady couple, Professor Lasky and her colleague, argue about whether their secret discovery is a danger or not, and another colleague, I should say, because there are three of them, in fact, whether or not they should disclose what they've discovered or keep it secret until they reach Earth. The doctor and Mel sneak into the lab where the experiments are taking place, and they find a woman being taken over by plants and yelling, "Stop her." The scientists claim that the woman is a lab assistant who they are taking to Earth for treatment. Then bipedal plant creatures start coming from the lab and kidnapping people, apparently killing them. One of the scientists, the one that was in favor of telling the authorities, begins destroying the work notes. He then proceeds to injure Lasky with the intent of destroying the ship. The plant creatures refer to themselves as Vervoids, and declare that scientist their number one enemy due to his attempting to destroy them. The ship is then hijacked by a different group of aliens and a retiring sailor who's just angry at having to obey orders all of his life. The Vervoids then kill these people, rendering that plot almost meaningless. The doctor tricks the other male scientist into revealing his roles in the murders. They then discover the Vervoids are planning to destroy all of animal life. They use a rare metal, which is the reason why the ship was hijacked, that produces light and carbon dioxide to age the Vervoids to death. The crisis over, the doctor and Mel leave on the TARDIS, and back in the present, the Valier declares that it no longer matters if the doctor is found guilty of meddling, because he has proven his future self guilty of genocide. And the episode ends.
Okay.
You managed to get that, Bill, in 3 minutes, 40 seconds. Good job.
All right.
Done, sir.
And for your reward, you get to go first on what you liked about this.
Okay. I actually liked how Mel was when she wasn't screaming. She shows good investigative skills, which almost felt like she was an investigative journalist, someone like Sarah Jane.
All right. So to try and cover up for the fact that Twitch is a hot fucking mess right now, and I don't know why, I'm going to try and deliver a quick summary as best as I can. So this is going to be a slightly shortened episode if we don't have the rest of it. In short, the costumes were terrible for the most part, except for the actual time-based normal human clothing wear. The digital effects were actually fairly decent, and the models were excellent. However, the practical effects fell far short. The acting from most of the side characters was atrocious. If it wasn't the actors' fault, it was the writing, to which the story itself had interesting ideas, but completely fell apart in trying to execute them. And also the Vervoids as a costume in of themselves. If the only reason you remember an episode is because of the quote-unquote vagina-faced monsters, then there's obviously a problem with your particular story if that's the only thing people can ever remember. In short, we also almost flat around the board gave it 2s, except for Ransan, who decided to give it a 1.5, ending us at 1.9, landing this in the top 5 bottom episodes we've ever reviewed on the channel. And again, very sorry about the technical difficulties. As far as we can figure, Twitch is actually having a lot of issues for some reason right now. We're not entirely sure why. But thank you all for watching. I hope you all enjoyed, and we will see you all next week for the final closing of the Trial for a Time Lord series with The Ultimate Foe. See you all next time.